When I applied for my PhD, I had a grand total of 0 publications. I didn't have a single publication by the time I was starting my PhD. So no, don't let anyone lie to you that you need to have a publication, otherwise you won't be accepted into a PhD program. No, absolutely not. All you need to do is to meet the minimum requirements of that particular university. And as a rule of thumb, I always tell this to my students, the ones that I mentor, and the ones who bother to listen are always successful. I'm going to only say this once. Your research proposal needs to be precise. And by precise, I mean that try to keep it under 3 pages. Keep it under 3 pages. Whatever you cannot say under 3 pages, you don't understand very well. So polish your understanding on that topic. Keep it under 3 pages. 2 pages is even better. I say 3 pages because you need the extra page for your references. If you cannot say it within 3 pages, you don't know it enough. Go and read that topic again until you can summarize it and fit it within 3 pages. And these 3 pages should contain the most essential things: the background information and significance, the research objectives and research questions, the methodology that you expect to use, and some of the potential outcomes. And finally, you wrap it up with a timeline and a budget. Only those within 3 pages. And look for very relevant papers published within the last 5 to 10 years. The more current, the better. Look for those papers and actually try to read them. Don't just plug them into an AI and then get something out and then paste that on your proposal. It looks generic. Yes, most supervisors who have a good eye will tell that you're using AI to generate that content and you don't even know what you're talking about. So just be careful with this. I know there's a lot of people who are now using AI now, and just be careful with this. Know your subject area. Because at the end of the day, you've designed this good proposal, you're presenting it to a supervisor, and then they ask for a meeting with you. And then you go to that meeting and they ask you questions based on that proposal and you don't know anything. Except it's so horrible. It's really, really bad. You need to know your work. And by the time you're applying for a PhD, you're better than that. You've already done a master's degree, so you have the skills that you need to quickly design a research proposal. So I'll just put that there. Yeah, if you bother to listen, then listen. These plans you need to make earlier on before life gets in the way, because life will get in the way and you'll have other commitments that will kind of make you keep pushing aside your goals because other things are coming to the surface and you have to take care of your kids, you have to pay school fees. All of a sudden, you don't have enough money to pursue a PhD. You don't have the time. You're busy all the time. Kidogo, you've reached 40 and now you're like, am I too old to go back to school? By the way, 40 is not too old to go back to school. Okay, listen, a PhD is 4 years. So it's quite a long time. Well, they usually say, for example, here in the UK, that a PhD is about 3 years. But technically speaking, once you start it, you might take anywhere between 3 to 4 years. Most of the time, people will take 4 years and even sometimes 4.5 years or even 5 years. So it's quite a commitment. So the topic of this video is, when should I start my PhD? When are you supposed to start your PhD? The first thing is that no one can answer that question for you. No one can answer that question for you aside from yourself. I'm going to basically talk about this topic, but from my own perspective. Pick what you can pick and see what really works for you and what doesn't. All right. So first of all, let's start all the way at the bottom. So the place where you start after you finish your high school, the next step, the next logical step is usually to go to university. So let's say you go to university, and most undergraduate degrees will take anywhere between 3 to 4 years. Most commonly, they'll take 4 years. So you start your university at around 18 or 19, thereabouts. So that means that you'll finish your undergraduate degree around the age of 22. Most of the time, people finish at 23. So you're now 23 years old and you finish your undergraduate degree. Okay, so most of the time you'll find that, depending on different scenarios, most graduates will go on to the workforce. You'll join different organizations to work. They'll be employed. So this is really the point when you need to start thinking about your future, not when you're 30 years old, when you're 23. So what direction do you want to take? I know I've talked to some of my friends, and earlier on, even when they were 23, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. And there's one who said that when they finished campus like this, that is undergraduate degree, when they finished their bachelor's degree, they wanted to work, not study, and that was going to be the end of their road when it comes to studying. They didn't want to go beyond the bachelor's degree. They wanted to join the workforce, start working, build something for themselves, probably get married down the line, have kids, all that. And then there's some who said, well, they don't really know what they want to do next. They're just winging it. So they probably work, and maybe if an opportunity comes down the line to advance their education, they'll do that. So it really depends on what comes next. That's the next scenario. That scenario I saw was people who really already knew that at some point they want to do their master's degree, and then after that they probably want to see if they want to go on to do their PhDs. For me, for my case specifically, I knew I wanted to go all the way. I wanted to go all the way if it meant that it would expose me to more opportunities down the line. And I wanted to do that as soon as possible. So really, by the time you're finishing your undergraduate degree, and this one now I'm talking to the people who are either almost finishing their bachelor's degree, or they've just graduated, or they recently graduated from the bachelor's degree. You need to start thinking about the next steps you have to follow, and you need to start thinking about them very, very soon. And there's a reason I'm saying this. The reason I'm saying this is that life happens. Life happens, and yes, it's going to happen. So the thing is, the older you get, the more responsibilities that you'll probably realize that you have. Okay, first being that probably as you grow older, you might want to settle down, have a family and all that, and that comes with its own share of responsibilities. All right, so these responsibilities crop up as the years go by. Remember, doing a degree is a lot of work. So it's a lot of work even if it's a 1 or 2 year degree. So let's say you're planning to do your master's, and it really depends on the universities. There's some universities where you can clear your master's in 1 year. Most UK universities offer 1 year masters. But sometimes you can't do that because you have other commitments and you need to take a part-time master's degree. That means you'll take longer than 1 year, probably 2 or 3 years to complete your master's. Okay? You've not even considered a PhD at this point. The reason why this video is very important is that people take a long time to think about what they want to do, the next steps that they want to follow. And most of the time, because most of us are winging it, you don't really know what's waiting for you tomorrow. So you're just winging it and just going through the process. Yes, that is understandable. But at the same time, you need to make a plan. Even if you're winging it, you need to make a plan. So let's say you've decided that at some point you want to do your master's. You're 23, you've just graduated, but at that point you probably just want a job, you want to get by, you want to find a place to rent, live, and just start life. Fine. So if you decided at some point you want to do your master's degree, you need to start looking for these opportunities. And first of all, you have to answer some really important questions, and these questions are going to be specific to you. Number one, why do you want to do your master's degree? So you could, for example, like maybe Kenya and the universities within the country that offers master's degrees. So the universities within the countries that offer these degrees. So let's say, for example, you did medicine and you have to do the internship after you graduate. So there are certain commitments that keep you grounded within the country. Or for example, you want to grow your medical career within the country and you want to work with a hospital that is based in your country, but you also want to pursue a graduate degree. So you could potentially look into doing one within the local universities. You have to figure out how long that program is, how it fits into your career. So can you do it alongside your work schedule? Are there evening classes, things like that? How much does it cost? How much do you need to save for that? Are there scholarships? You need to start thinking about this very, very early. So let's say you've graduated, you're within your first year after graduation, you've already identified some master's programs that you want to do within your country. So I'm talking to people who just want to complete the advanced studies within the country. You've identified the university, you've gone through their website, or you've gone to the university itself physically, and you've figured out how much the program is going to cost. So you have a general idea of what commitments you need to make or how much money you need to save up over how long. So once you have that in mind, then every day when you go to work, you already know at the back of your mind, I need to save this money every single month. I need to save this money every single month so that at the end of this year, I have enough to enroll for this master's degree. Okay? So now you're living life, yes. You're kind of just going through the process of living, but you're also making plans on the side to advance your degree. Okay? And remember, you don't always have to do this master's degrees outside of the country. Even within the country where you are, whichever country it is, there are good universities there, and there are lecturers there who teach, who have probably trained in very good universities across the world, and they bring that knowledge to you within your local university. So before you even think about applying abroad for a master's degree, if that's not what you want to do, consider your local universities. Talk to alumni of those universities, people who are working in the country and have gone through those master's programs within the country. They'll tell you a lot about their own experiences with that particular university, and this will help you to narrow down the good ones, because I know I've had horror stories about other institutions I won't mention here, but really talking to the alumni, talking to people who've gone through that program will give you a better idea of what to expect and help you to narrow down on a choice of university as well as the program that you want to do. Okay. And another reason why it's very good to consider also local universities is that there are some scholarships. I know there are scholarships provided, I think, by the African Union that sponsor students or fully fund academic degrees that are obtained within African institutions. So don't be very quick to dismiss local universities and also universities that are based in African countries, because there are some funding opportunities that specifically target students who are based within those universities. So think about this, make your plans, choose a university, figure out how much money you need to save and how much you'll be able to save across which duration of time. And then also, are there opportunities such as scholarship opportunities that you could potentially tap into to help fund your degree? So that doesn't stop you from living your life. So you're continuing to work, but you're also making plans to advance your degree in the future. Okay? So you need to start thinking about this within the first year that you start employment after you graduate from your bachelor's degree. So let's say, for example, you've done that over the course of time. You've paid for your master's degree, you've done your master's degree, you've finished your master's degree, and probably you've not even hit 30. That's actually a good thing, because you're still young and you have the capacity really to embark on another rigorous academic degree if this is what you want. So let's say, for example, your goal is to work in research, or potentially you want to work in academia, for example. So that means that it's probably a good idea to start thinking about doing a PhD. Okay, so let's say you've done your master's, maybe you've paid for it yourself, or you've gotten a scholarship opportunity which has helped you to pay for it. This is really, really good. The reason why I say this is really, really good is because let's say you want to do a PhD, and a PhD takes a longer time and is probably going to cost you more. So it helps if you are funded during your master's, because then you are probably going to look like a very ambitious student, or it increases your chances of getting PhD funding. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have gotten a scholarship during your master's to be eligible for PhD funding. Really, you just need to have done some good work during your master's degree. If you published something, that is even better. It's better because then it shows that you did your research really well. You're a very ambitious student. You got some publications. Even if it is just one publication during your master's, is a good thing. But I want to tell you something here. When I applied for my PhD, I had a grand total of 0 publications. I didn't have a single publication by the time I was starting my PhD. So no, don't let anyone lie to you that you need to have a publication, otherwise you won't be accepted into a PhD program. No, absolutely not. All you need to do is to meet the minimum requirements of that particular university. If the university needs all the PhD applicants to have a publication prior to being accepted, then probably you need a publication prior to being accepted. I've not encountered such a scenario yet. Maybe it's there, I've not encountered it, where a university bars applicants who do not have publications from applying for PhD program. It doesn't really exist in most universities. As long as you have a master's degree from a university that is recognized and you have your transcript and your certificates, you're eligible to apply for a PhD program. What I'm saying is just having a publication or two just strengthens your application. Okay? But of course, there are other things that the admissions panel as well as the scholarship panel will be looking for. And yes, there's a time I was explaining to a student who asked me this, who told me they are worried that the application is not going to be accepted because they didn't have a publication. It doesn't matter. You don't need one to get admitted into a PhD program. But there's one thing that is really important that might really affect your chances of getting in. Number one is, if you don't have a very good research proposal, remember you have to have a research proposal on a topic that is current, on a topic that is really relevant and is most likely one that can attract a lot of funding. So supervisors will likely want to get you as a student because then that topic is relevant, it's current, and it's probably going to bring money to the university. And there's a chance that it will progress even beyond your PhD. That's always a good topic. That's the first thing that I believe supervisors piques the interest of supervisors. So having a very good research proposal matters. Okay. The other thing, and this is more towards the scholarship, if you want to get a scholarship, you need to demonstrate some sort of leadership potential. Okay, this is very important. Aside from just your research proposal and how well it aligns to the university and to national and international priorities, do you display anything else, any leadership potential, something that sets you apart from others? Because obviously, most students who apply for these scholarships have very, very good transcripts, good certificates, very good research experience. And sometimes the only thing that's drawing them back is the lack of leadership potential. This is the only thing harming their application. So you need to polish that as well. Do something, work with an organization that addresses some sort of community need. Do something significant with them, either volunteer or even start your own initiative or program on the side. Something small that you know you can do and you can fit into your schedule to demonstrate your leadership potential. Very important. Okay? So once you've decided, okay, I'm going to pursue a PhD, I've finished my master's degree, now you need to start putting even before you put your application together, you need to start doing your homework. First of all, figure out, do you want to do your PhD within your home country or do you want to do it abroad? Okay? You need to make these decisions, make them very, very fast. And you need to talk, this is very important, talk to the people who've already done PhDs in those particular institutions that you are looking at joining. Okay, you need to talk to them so that you figure out their experiences. Because again, I've had a lot of horror stories of a PhD program that was supposed to take only 4 years and a university ended up taking more than 10 years. This happens. And sometimes it happens because maybe along the way you have issues with funding or you have issues with a delayed project for any number of reasons. So you have to talk to people who've gone through that particular university and that particular program. Do your homework, narrow down on the universities that you want to apply to. Know the cost of the PhD program and how much money you need to set aside. If there are funding opportunities, even better, go for those ones. If you know that you meet the minimum eligibility criteria, apply. The only way you can guarantee that you will not get funding is if you don't apply. Just apply. What is the worst that they can do? Tell you that we are not giving you funding. So you simply go over to the next funding body and apply for that funding as well. If they tell you no, simply go over to the next one and just keep doing that until something pans out. Okay, so you figured out you want to do a PhD maybe within your home country. So narrow down the university, start saving, get the money together, and figure out a good time when you want to start doing a PhD, because it involves a lot. I'm not scaring anyone from doing a PhD. It's really a good thing to do because it really opens your mind. You think that your mind is opened after you finish your bachelor's degree. It's not true. Let's say, for example, you don't want to do your PhD within your home country, but you want to do it in another country. Maybe you want to do it abroad. Again, this requires even more preparation than if you wanted to do it locally or you wanted to do it regionally, maybe in a neighboring country, but maybe within the continent. So if you want to do a PhD abroad, you have to start planning way, way early and start identifying opportunities earlier on. Even before you complete your master's degree, you're supposed to start identifying opportunities. It's going to cost you more if you're thinking of doing your PhD outside the country. And this is where it becomes very, very important to identify funding opportunities because they're there. Let's say you've gone through the whole process, you've done your bachelor's, you've done your master's, you're already an exceptional scholar, okay? Apply for a scholarship. It's not really that hard. The thing is, you need to have a list, have an Excel spreadsheet where you have a list of scholarship opportunities that you'd like to attempt for your PhD, funding opportunities that you'd like to apply for in order to pay for your PhD. So once you have a list of all this, look at the requirements. So organize this nicely into an Excel spreadsheet, the list of requirements that are needed for your application, and then start working on this. And also narrow down on the universities that you would like to attend. Okay. The other videos in my channel that I talk about how to select a university and really kind of the kind of documents that you need to start organizing. For example, personal statements and your CV and all that. So you need to have a set list of everything that is needed and start working on them. Okay. If you do not have a spreadsheet that you can use to organize your work effectively, let me know in the comment section and I'll share a free spreadsheet that you can then use to organize and plan yourself. Planning is essential. So once you have this down and you already know which scholarships you're applying to, the universities and the programs that you want to get admission into, then you need to actually put the work in and start applying. Remember, once you have one research proposal that you've done really well, then you can use the proposal across different programs. You don't have to do it again. You just need to do it once. Get a good research proposal. And then for your PhD, this is very important. You need to start looking for a supervisor. It's kind of different from master's program, particularly master's taught programs, because these ones you don't really have to look for a supervisor. But for a PhD, you need to start looking for a supervisor. How do you look for a supervisor? You email prospective PIs, lecturers who are working in different universities that you want to apply to, email them and let them know about your topic, what you want to work on, and if they're available for supervision. This is very important. This is very important because you only have that one chance to email someone and let them know, express your interest, and let them decide if they want to take you on as a student. So you have to use that chance very, very well. So let's say, for example, you want to approach a supervisor about a topic that you want to do. Remember, you must attach a research proposal to that email. Another thing to remember is that these are very busy people. They are very busy people and they have a lot that they're doing already wherever they are. So that research proposal needs to be very precise. And as a rule of thumb, I always tell this to my students, the ones that I mentor, and the ones who bother to listen are always successful. I'm going to only say these ones. Your research proposal needs to be precise. And by precise, I mean that try to keep it under 3 pages. Keep it under 3 pages. Whatever you cannot say under 3 pages, you don't understand very well. So polish your understanding on that topic. Keep it under 3 pages. 2 pages is even better. I say 3 pages because you need the extra page for your references. If you cannot say it within 3 pages, you don't know it enough. Go and read that topic again until you can summarize it and fit it within 3 pages. And these 3 pages should contain the most essential things: the background information and significance, the research objectives and research questions, the methodology that you expect to use, and some of the potential outcomes. And finally, you wrap it up with a timeline and a budget. Only those within 3 pages. And include references at the end. Please don't go using AI to generate this. You're going to ChatGPT, you're going to generate a proposal. ChatGPT and those AI tools, and I talk about this in another video, should be used only when you're trying to look for, let's say, an interesting current trending topic. And AI can give you some suggestions. If you just don't know what you want to do and you want to do something that is interesting, look for some options by trying to prompt the AI to give you trending topics, maybe trending topics on malaria research, trending topics on nanoparticles, whatever, engineering, whatever your subject area is, look for a trending topic. And then if you really don't have an idea of an outline that you'd like to use, then still you can use sophisticated AI tools. There are better ones than ChatGPT, by the way. You can use sophisticated AI tools to help you to design an outline. Once you've designed an outline, then just stop there and go back to now hardcore research. Okay, try to find papers that have talked about that particular topic. And I really like to look at systematic reviews, meta-analysis, so papers that have compiled a lot of studies together to really bring out an immediate picture of what is going on in that field. And look for very relevant papers published within the last 5 to 10 years. The more current, the better. Look for those papers and actually try to read them. Don't just plug them into an AI and then get something out and then paste that on your proposal. It looks generic. Yes, most supervisors who have a good eye will tell that you're using AI to generate that content and you don't even know what you're talking about. So just be careful with this. I know there's a lot of people who are now using AI now, and just be careful with this. Know your subject area. Because at the end of the day, you've designed this good proposal, you're presenting it to a supervisor, and then they ask for a meeting with you. And then you go to that meeting and they ask you questions based on that proposal and you don't know anything. Except it's so horrible. It's really, really bad. You need to know your work. And by the time you're applying for a PhD, you're better than that. You've already done a master's degree. So you have the skills that you need to quickly design a research proposal. So I'll just put that there. Yeah. If you bother to listen, then listen. So you have your research proposal, you can use it across different programs. You have your personal statements, you have your CVs. So you have everything you need to make your application and then now start applying. And you can reuse these documents across different applications. As a rule of thumb, always try to make sure you have at least 5 different applications submitted. Because remember, your backup plan must always have a backup plan. And that backup plan should have a backup plan as well. So you need to have a backup for your backup plans in case one doesn't pan out. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So this is all I have to say. The main thing, the main reason for having this video is really to let you know that these plans you need to make earlier on before life gets in the way, because life will get in the way and you'll have other commitments that will kind of make you keep pushing aside your goals because other things are coming to the surface and you have to take care of your kids, you have to pay school fees. All of a sudden, you don't have enough money to pursue a PhD, you don't have the time, you're busy all the time. Kidogo, you've reached 40 and now you're like, am I too old to go back to school? By the way, 40 is not too old to go back to school. I've seen people going back for their masters when they are like above 50. So, no, it's not an excuse. But the thing is, when you're younger, you have more energy. So, you need to put that energy into really clearing out most of the things you want to do earlier on. Yeah. Anytime between the age of 23 and the age of 35 is a good time to really get these degrees out of the way so that you can let the rest of your life happen. Yeah. Okay. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe and also comment and let me know what your journey has been like. If you have a PhD already, how was it? How was your PhD experience? Did you have other commitments during a PhD and how did this impact your overall experience? If you've not done a PhD yet and you're looking to do it and you have additional questions that I did not address during this video, go down to the comment sections and let me know. Let me know your questions, and you know from the rest of my videos that I answer all questions and I answer them in detail. So let me know your question and I'll try my best to respond, okay? Remember to like this video. If you like this video, then you're making it more accessible to others, all right? So until the next video, I'm Dr. Valentina Dolo signing out. See you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.